Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and if you recently purchased a Nissan Sentra, or maybe you're using one for an extended period of time, this video is going to help you understand how to use the gauge cluster, the little screen in there, and the center infotainment screen, show you how to pair up a phone, use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and utilize some of the voice commands. Now right off the bat, I highly recommend you spend time, whether it's watching this video or separately, sit in your driveway, mess around with everything in your car, get comfortable with it, you're going to enjoy using it that much more. Also, if you do want to see more on the Sentra, check the link below. We've got a full review, we've got a fuel economy test, a sound system breakdown. All of that can be found below. Before we dive into the video, I want to show you guys a really cool piece of tech that I've been using for a little while, and I've recently partnered up with. The company is called MagTeam, and they provide these magnetic phone cables. And I actually saw these promoted by a different tech YouTuber that I watch regularly, and I had to have one, so I bought a few for myself, and I've also really liked using them as gifts for people because everybody needs phone cables. You could always use extras, and these ones are remarkably cool to carry around. So this is a Type A to Type C that I use fairly regularly, and you can see it's a hefty, nice braided cable, good length, but the key is when you're done with it, it's very lightly magnetic, and as you just very casually roll it up here, it magnets to itself and makes it very neat and tangle-free once it goes into your bag. I did a very quick and dirty job there, but it comes together nicely, and look at that. It stays together. So this is really cool to have in my camera bag. I can toss this in here compared to something like a traditional cable. I think I've got an iPhone cable right here. So this one kind of all over the place. This one stays nice and neat. It's a great gift, great thing to have in your own tech suite, so I highly recommend picking one up. They make iPhone style cables, Lightning, Type C to Type C, anything you need. Check the link below to get yourself 10% off with the code DailyMotor at MagTeam. Right off the bat in front of us, we've got a nice steering wheel with a bunch of physical buttons. These buttons on the left are going to control your volume, your track selection. These four-way buttons here are going to control that screen there in the middle. We'll get to that here more in a moment. The ones on the right are pretty much all cruise control here on the top right, and then your voice control and a phone button. Where over on the left you have an eco button, a button to adjust the brightness of the gauge cluster and reset your trip meter and cycle through also your trip and odometer readouts, and then a little trunk release button way down on the further left. Right up in front of us here, we've got this small screen in between two analog gauges. We've got our tachometer on the left with coolant temperature below, on the right speed and a fuel gauge. And then right in the middle, a digital screen that gives us a good bit of information. Now it's a little bit dark, hopefully you all are able to see it okay. The brightness is all the way up. We've got our clock in the top left and outside temperature in the top right. Bottom left we have odometer or trip meter, and then bottom right, distance to empty. In the center we've got our gear selection, so if I go into reverse you see an R, and then P right now in park. And then the center screen is customizable. Right now we're in what Nissan sort of calls the home screen. So if I use the up and down buttons on this directional pad, I can get a few different screens. I have digital speed readout with track selection. I have digital speed readout with average speed, and then a bit of a blank screen. If I go to the right, then I get a fuel economy screen that's showing me my auto stop start and how much fuel I've saved from that, and a fuel economy readout. Continue on to the right, I get a tire pressure readout, which is kind of nice. It shows me what the tire pressures should be and then what they're at. Now mind you, when the tires are warm, you'll be about 3 psi higher than their cold set level there. If I scroll up and down, I also get a trip meter with distance and time, and then a speed limit sign screen. So as I'm driving on the road, when it sees speed limit signs, it'll display that there. Continuing on to the right, I get a media screen. I could change my source by pressing OK, see what track is playing. Then I get a kind of a cruise control and safety screen, so I can turn on or off the beeps for forward collision warning, blind spot monitoring, and lane keeping assist. And right there I could see if there's a car in front of me when I'm using adaptive cruise control. Nice that the Sentra has that. And then all the way over on the right, I get settings, VDC setting, that's vehicle dynamic control. I can turn that on or off. That's essentially traction control there. Driver assistance, if I wanted to turn on or off my lane departure warning, I can do that. Oh, and then there's this little back button there I should be utilizing, I suppose. Blind spot monitoring, the warning, I can turn that on or off. Emergency braking, we have both front and rear emergency brake, that's nice to have. Speed limit sign. Parking aids, I can have the sonar pop up and change the distance so how close they get to start beeping, and also the volume of that. That's nice. Maybe if you travel with kids regularly, you're going to want to turn the volume on low. Rear cross traffic alert, also good to have that here in the Sentra at this price point. Driver attention alert, you might want to turn this off if it's starting to annoy you, because it might pop up and say that you need to take a break if you're not paying very good attention. Maybe you're sleepy. A low temperature alert, as the outside temperature gets low enough and there might be ice on the road, this will alert you. And back, we've got eco mode settings. You can customize things you want to have on or off when you have the vehicle in eco mode, and also tell you how you're driving. TPMS setting, if you wanted to change the units that your tire pressure readout is in. Right now we're in PSI. Some clock settings right here. You can adjust the clock manually and change to a 12-hour or 24-hour clock format. Vehicle settings, lighting. If you want the headlamps to turn on when you unlock the vehicle. Auto room lamp, same thing. If you want them to turn on when you get in here. How long you want the headlights to stay on. And if you want your automatic headlights to be on or turn on earliest, earlier, later, or standard. That's kind of funny. Locking, do you want the selective lock on, so only the driver door unlocks when you press the button, or all of the doors to unlock when you press the button? Auto door unlock, when you shift to park, do you want the doors to unlock, or when you turn the ignition off, or never? And then do you want the horn to beep when you lock the car? So some people want to hear that audible feedback, some people don't. Under wipers, you can turn speed-dependent wipers on or off from there. And then rear door alert. I'm not 100% sure what this one does, to be honest. It says horn and alert, alert, or off. Continuing on down in the settings screen, we have a maintenance screen. So if you're getting an alert that you need to do something for your tires or oil maintenance, you can reset that there. You can customize the display here, change what's showing in your main screen. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, so there are, why did we not see all of these? I might have to go back and look through why we were missing some of them. Cruise screen transition. Oh, this is actually really nice, because this is something that bothers me with Nissans. When you set the cruise control, it automatically goes to the cruise control screen. Turn that off. Glad to have that. Welcome effect. You want the gauges to sweep and there to be a little animation on. Light and wiper guidance. Lights mode guidance. Oh, so if you adjust your wipers, do you want it to pop up and let you know that you're doing that, or adjusting your lighting? That's nice to have as well. A lot of nifty little features here. You can change your units and language from here. What different languages do we have? English, Spanish, and French. That's about what I figured. And then if you mess things up, you can factory reset the whole thing there in the bottom of settings. Making our way over to the center screen. This SR model gets an 8-inch touchscreen. I believe the lower models get a 7-inch screen. But this one works decently well, and I appreciate that we still have a lot of physical controls here. Physical volume, physical tuning knob, physical tuning buttons here, buttons to get straight to your phone, to the vehicle's camera, which this one has a 360 camera, which you gotta admit, again, in this class and this price point, pretty nice to have that. You've also got physical controls down here for the dual zone climate control. Really appreciate that as well. This is essentially the home screen, and then you can swipe through and customize these menus. Say, for example, I want to access, well, I don't know why I would need this camera button when I have that camera button, but say that I want to have different buttons on here. I can hit customize this home screen, and then I can choose, maybe on the center screen, okay, let's put the, oh, we already have an audio. Let's put a clock icon right there, and then a smaller audio right there. Oh, that's the big audio. Okay, well, all right, well, let's see how that looks. So now on our center screen there, we got big clock, big audio. You can kind of customize it for what you use most regularly. Up on the top, you're going to have your clock. You can click on that and get a few clock settings. And then you dive into the individual menus. Along this bottom, you see kind of persistent phone projection, which we'll get to here later on, audio, Bluetooth and wireless connections, information, and settings. Let's go into audio. You can see it comes up pretty quickly. Now, the resolution isn't super high on the screen, but the responsiveness is nice. We've got a good amount of audio inputs, so displayed along the bottom, and you can play and pause, or if you say, for example, bring up your radio, then you can see you've got your favorites along the bottom here, and you can see what channel's coming up. Is there a way to play and pause the Sirius XM? Yeah, you got to hit replay, and then you have the ability to play, pause, go back, etc. Coming back home and then going to connections, this is how we're going to pair up our Bluetooth phone later on, but you can also see that we've got a vehicle hotspot that you can turn on or off. If you pay monthly, you can have devices in your car, such as tablets, children's computers, etc., connect to that wireless hotspot and get an internet connection. Also, if you plug something in for USB that has apps in this car, you could utilize that there. And like I said, we'll show you how to pair up a phone via Bluetooth later on. Under the information screen, we have Nissan Connect services. If you needed to call Nissan assistance, you could do that there. System information, if you needed to see what version you had of the Nissan infotainment system, you do that. And if you're connected to the Wi-Fi, you can also check to see if you have a software update. Under apps, this is another way to get directly to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And then vehicle data transmission, essentially just a way to agree that your vehicle transmits data to Nissan. Then we get into settings. We're going to skip over connections for now. We've kind of already seen it. Can't do anything with phone right now because we are connected to Android Auto. Let's go into sound. You have your basic treble and bass settings right there. Volume and beeps. You can change how loud your ringtone is when people call you. You can also, interestingly, adjust the audio volume without using the knob right there. Call volume, and if you want the buttons to make a silly little click sound. This almost sounds exactly like the Windows click noise. Listen. That's so funny to me. It's not really a beep. Anyway, up in the clock settings, we saw those earlier. The ability to change your clock, set it manually, or use a different format. Customize a home menu, we saw that earlier. Customize audio sources. You can change which sources show up in this bottom screen. So for example, I don't think people are going to use aux very much anymore, so I'm going to replace it with Sirius XM, and now that's in your quick toggle bar. Scrolling over, system voice. Initial voice prompt, do you want it to say something when you press the voice control button? We'll see that in a little bit. Short voice prompt, if you don't need it to say as many things back to you, then you can have that. You can also choose your voice preference between male and female. We'll have to customize those.
Sample.
Oh, here we go. Here's a sample.
Sample. Sample. Sample. Sample.
Fair enough. Audio device setting. Voice recognition will be active for the selected device. Oh, okay. So if you have your device connected, you can... All right. And then the speech rate. This is kind of nice to be able to change if you want it to speak
Sample.
a little quicker.
Sample. 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 Sample.
Most people are going to probably want that a little bit quicker to make the voice prompts go a bit faster. Under camera settings, moving object detection. So if you have a car coming through your backup camera or to the side, if you want it to pop up and alert you, it's good to have that on. Under display settings, we can change the brightness, contrast, tint, black level, color, a lot of different settings for the camera. That's interesting. Under others, you've got the ability to change the language again here for the center screen, English, Spanish, French. Some display settings. Again, you can change the brightness, contrast level, contrast and black level there of the display. And you can even turn the display off, which you can also do with this physical button here. And the ability to reset all settings to default, again, if you mess things up. Okay, let's take a look at Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We're going to look at Android Auto first because that's the device I have connected. Now, you do have to connect via a cable for this. No wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. But when you're connected, you see on the bottom left, you have the ability to get right to your phone projection. And coming up to our home screen right there, we see the kind of classic Android Auto split screen setup. We got maps on the left, music on the right, and some of our frequently used apps along the bottom. If we click down on the bottom left, we get our apps list that we can scroll through. And keep in mind, you can customize which order you see apps in, and you have the ability to click Nissan right there to get back to the Nissan home screen, or you can simply use this home button. Let's open up YouTube Music, hit the Super Mix, see what we're getting today. Ooh, B52s, that's a fun one. That's what your now playing screen is going to look like, and if you go back home, you get the music playing, come on, playing on the right, and your maps on the left. Let's bring up that map screen, full screen, and you can see you can move around. I've got the satellite mode on right now. Look at that. Really good refresh right there. I'm actually really happy with the responsiveness and refresh. And when you're using phone projection, the resolution is pretty good on here. And you can see when you do have full screen maps open, then you get your media down on the bottom. All right, I actually forgot to bring my iPhone today, so we're going to hop to a different section, and I'll show you how to connect an iPhone and use CarPlay. Okay, you can either pair your iPhone wirelessly to Bluetooth in order to have your phone calls and text messages and music come through the system, but that will not work for Apple CarPlay. So if you want to use Apple CarPlay, you have to plug in via the cable. First, I'll show you how to pair up the phone for Bluetooth. go into the settings on your iPhone and open Bluetooth. On the vehicle, go to Connections and Add New. And then scroll down on the iPhone, you'll see My Sentra under Bluetooth. Hit Pair and Allow. Agree to anything that pops up on the phone. And now we have the phone connected via Bluetooth. So I can go home or directly to this phone button, I suppose. And I have the ability to view my phone book. I can dial a number, the quick dial or dialer right here. I could view text messages if I allow it from the phone. And most importantly, make and receive phone calls. And also use audio. I can go audio, Bluetooth audio, and then play from my phone. But most people are probably going to want to use Apple CarPlay, so we're going to plug in our USB cable and then simply plug in the device, and it should do all the connecting for us. Hit yes on the car that we want CarPlay to enable. Hit allow on the phone. And there we go. CarPlay taking up the whole screen, looking nice. A little bit of a lower resolution than Android Auto, a little bit chunkier. Kind of a perfectly even split screen here. Let's bring up Google Maps. You can see you can move it around. Again, good refresh. No pinch to zoom on the iPhone, but looking nice there. Let's bring up YouTube Music and hit the Super Mix, see what we're getting. Some Lil Wayne. All right, a little bit different than the B-52s. If we go back home, then we see we've got music playing right here and the map. And then same thing, we can get right back to the home menu there. And we're back to our Nissan screen. Okay, lastly, let's check out some voice commands. We use this voice command button right here and press it.
Please say or select a command.
Set the temperature to 61 degrees.
Command not understood. Please say again.
Tune to 89.3 FM.
Tuning to 89.3 FM.
Clearly very limited voice controls here since there's no navigation built into the car and it can't do any sort of climate controls. You're pretty much limited to just making phone calls with your device or controlling the radio. So there it is, the 8-inch touchscreen and the center screen here in the Nissan Sentra. A fairly basic and straightforward tech suite, however, it is quite effective. I appreciate the screen's not very far away. We've got a lot of physical controls, and for the price point, I'm happy with it. I would like to see some sort of wireless phone projection. Maybe that's something they can update in the future, but at least you could get yourself one of those little dongles and use that. Any questions I didn't get to, let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer them, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.